very much for coming. I understand, as you will understand, they're trying to get an event off the ground anywhere, but perhaps especially at Roehampton at 6 o'clock at night it's difficult. So I really appreciate that we've got an audience for these 9 wonderful people. A few weeks ago, I sent out an email to our drama undergraduates asking for participants to read a selection of monologues. And I asked for people who identified within the LGBTQ community and are allies. And this is kind of what we have represented here. This evening, you're going to hear a selection of monologues that these students have chosen themselves. And they're really great monologues that kind of deserve to be heard. Tonight is going to be a night of love, and anger, and humour, and anger, and sex, and grindr, and sex, and history, and queer futures, and reflection, and sex, and most of all, love. Love for one another, in our differences, and love for what brings us together. This is the penultimate day of LGBT History Month, and I still think that it's a really important month that we get together and do exactly this kind of thing. So please welcome these 9 wonderful students who've given their time to this, and give yourself a round of applause for giving the time to this too. To begin, James, will you come to the stage, please? James is going to read a section of a text by the playwright Neil Bartlett, and it's a play called Helpless. Neil Bartlett is one of the most acclaimed queer theatre writers in Britain. Bartlett was active in the first waves of British AIDS crisis, and Helpless was created to be performed at London's notorious RVT, the Royal Vauxhall Tavern, on the night of the World AIDS Day in December 2007. This monologue is a first-person testimony to the experiences of sex, lust, and love during the time of AIDS, and a call to arms to the audience to keep on loving and protecting themselves.
I have a confession to make. I can't stop. I just can't. I've tried, God knows I've tried, but I can't. Well, it is tricky, of course, at my time of life. Old habits die hard, and so on. But listen, this stopping thing, stopping and thinking, stopping after you've had a couple, stopping in time, stopping just before you come, I mean, it all comes down to one thing, really, doesn't it? I mean, people talk about control, self-control, but I think they've got it wrong, really. I mean, we all know when push comes to shove, so to speak. It's not a question of whether you're off your face, of being responsible, of thinking straight. I mean, it's just a bloody fact that we are all helpless when push comes to shove. We're all a bit not in control, all a bit giddy, a bit weak in the knees, a bit face down, a bit dick-headed, a bit knob-led, a bit sphincter-driven, a bit throbbing, a bit dripping, a bit loose, a bit hard, a bit wet. I mean, they're none of them exactly states of mind, are they? No. Listen. I mean, really, who wants to stop and think just when things are getting a little bit slippery? Who wants to mess around with trying to open some little packet of fucking tin foil just when things are getting nice and messy? Who wants to be pissing about unrolling 6.5 inches, if you're lucky, 8.5 inches, of just tight enough flesh-coloured membrane of fucking rubber? Just when he's starting to pucker up and beg. I mean, who wants to do that? Who wants to look him in the eye? Unrolling it really slowly and whispering softly. Are you ready for this? Are you? Oh, are you? Who could ever get used to doing that? Who could ever get used to the idea of that being horny? Because we all know nobody wants to do that, right? And we all know you can't change what you want. You can't. I mean, we can't. People like us can't. We can't. We just can't stop it. We can't. I mean, I knew that. I knew that right back in 1983 or 4, whenever the fuck it was all this started. I knew, we all knew, it was useless. We knew we couldn't stop it. I mean, how could you stop that? I can remember at the first ever funeral I went to, the very first one, I can remember thinking, we can't do this. I mean, look at us. There's 200 people here. What's the fucking point of that? You know, and then the 8th funeral, the 8th one. I can remember thinking, we can't bear this. People like us can't. We haven't got the guts. We haven't got the nerve. We haven't got a bloody clue, because they're right, aren't they? The people who talk about us at any point you like to take in the last 21 or 25 years, or however many god-awful fucking plague-ridden years it's been now, any point you like, they were right. We're a bloody shambles, basically. We're bloody useless. We're just not up to it because we, you, I, us, people like us, we can't change. We can't cope. We can't care. We can't talk. We can't share. We can't hold on to each other or hold out for each other. And we certainly can't fundraise. We certainly, but most of all, we just can't help ourselves. I mean, when you do think about it, about who's got it and who hasn't got it here tonight, and who's going to get it here tonight, and who isn't going to get it here tonight. I mean, Christ, that's all just too complicated to even think about, isn't it? It's enough to make anybody feel helpless. Obviously, with reference to my little friend here, I'm not saying I'm happy about this state of affairs. Obviously, what with the guilt and the funerals and the embarrassment, I find it very difficult to enjoy myself these days. Well, I've been finding it very difficult to enjoy myself for the last 21 years, actually. Very difficult to enjoy myself when I'm fucking someone. Well, you can't, can you, these days? You can't enjoy being shoved up against the wall and being forced to share your saliva with a 6-foot stranger when all you're doing is thinking about whether you're safe. You can't experience any pleasure swapping spit with some pert German in Peckham last Wednesday. Or pressing your prick into some whimpering, wide-open Polish plumber in his ground floor flat just round the corner from Pimlico tube station. Or face down in Fulham. Or deep inside some impossibly handsome Danish 28-year-old in Denmark Hill. Or when seriously considering assaulting a security guard in Sloane Square. Or eyeing up 3 city boys in EC1. Or 21 years later, 20 years after this all started, standing here and having a good old Varda around a tavern in Vauxhall. Still, with love, as ever. Love in all its guises, in your heart. Like I said, helpless, useless, disorganized, worn out, irresponsible, terrified, helpless. And like I said, I just can't stop. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, James. Next